in the upper left-hand corner. The red Protoss player representing the Afrika Freaks. It is Stats. And his opponent in the lower right-hand corner. The blue Terran representing Team Newbie. It is Time. Time looked really good in the last game. In the last series, I should say. And Stats, I mean, he just looks good all the time. You know what I'm saying? I think this is going to be a really good match. The last couple of TVPs that we casted here, unfortunately, it didn't feel very good for the Terran. But I feel like Time could give us some hope, you know? He can give us a little something. He's got that something extra. Probe gonna come in and be annoying. Nothing too crazy there. This barracks placement is very interesting. Gonna be Gate Nexus Core out of stats. Not too afraid of anything crazy going on. And it's not going to be a Reaper, it's going to be a Marine first. Which means Time should be able to get that quicker factory out. It's an interesting opening. This is a circa 2011 1-Rex fast expand opening right here. Time bringing it back. And it's going to be Stargate out of stats. That's interesting. Stargate versus Terran. It's not uncommon, but it's definitely not the most common way to open. And we'll see if he just wants to go for 1 or 2 Oracles, or if he wants to go into Phoenix after that. Even just a few Phoenix can be very helpful against some of those early pushes with tanks, or you can pick off a Cyclone very early and stop that snowball from happening. Alright, but Time is making a single Reaper now. This is so strange to me. I like it. I like it a lot. Time also pulling away mules, which I believe after the patch you don't need to do anymore. Didn't they change that so that it always completes the last journey? I thought they did. I feel like I'm a little crazy though, because at one point they changed it and it didn't always complete the last journey, so you did still have to pull it away. But I feel like they changed it again so you don't have to pull it away anymore. I don't know. Speaking of early pushes, Reaper's gonna move across the map, but looks like we're gonna see an early push. Usually the single medevac coming out, tank, few Marines. This means early bit of a push. And it is gonna be Phoenix. Just no Oracle, just straight into Phoenix for stats. Oh, and if we can get, I was gonna say, if he can get some good damage on that medevac before Time even pushes out across the map. Although, you know, it doesn't look like Time's planning on pushing out right now. Potentially seeing those Phoenix made him think twice. Oh no, he wants to do a drop though, doesn't he? Yeah, I feel like his plan was to either drop or push out with that tank. But the Phoenix make dropping very difficult, and even pushing out, if the Phoenix need a lift on the tank, and then the Adepts and other ground units can clean up just the Marines. Could be a nice defense. So I like this from Time. Seems like potentially changing his plans. Phoenix still looking for some damage. Marines and Cyclone have left the building, so a couple of SCVs gonna go down here. Just the gas mining ones for now. And here's that push from Time, so just waiting a little bit longer, getting some more anti-air here. A couple of Vikings and a couple of Cyclones. Oh, I like that a lot. That's a nice choice. I'm gonna make it a lot harder for these Phoenix to pick up the tank. Oh, this Observer, though, sees absolutely everything. There's the first pickup. Not picking up the tank, though. Going for the Cyclones instead. Some Phoenix going down, but all of these units are going to go down for time. That's a complete cleanup. He did get all the Phoenix, though, and that kind of puts a damper on the rest of the game here for Stats. He's going to continue making Phoenix, but he was going into Colossus. And you really want those Phoenix to pair up with that, so he's going to have to make more Phoenix, which isn't ideal, but not the end of the world. Big shade into the Adepts, though. They are going to finish that shade. There's a tank here. She's just going to kind of shell away at them. But forcing tons of lost mining time. Time is also down 44 to 56 workers. Third base is completely up and running for Stats. We just have the third CC starting here for time. Stats in a very good position this game. That push somewhat ineffectual for time, unfortunately. The mule change didn't go through. Okay. That makes sense then. So maybe what happened is time dropped it on a farm mineral patch. Because I know they changed it. What they changed it to do was you could now drop it on close mineral patches. Between the observer and these shades, Stats is seeing everything. And he does still have at least 3 Phoenixes, Phoenicians, and getting Thermal Lance now, getting more Colossi, some more gateways, 1-1 on the way. For both players. Well, actually, I say that, but time only has 1 engineering bay. It's going into quick ghosts, which I don't know if that's necessarily the right play here, because we don't have a Templar Archives just yet. In fact, the Twilight's basically just starting. There's the Templar Archives. I mean, ghosts are never bad. Oh, I'm pulling the boys. Oh no, okay, he's mining. I was like, this is it, we're going all in. But, nope. Just pre-mining from that third base. Gonna take the third out front. Oh man, look at these Adepts. Just grab 6 SCVs like it's nothing and then shade on out of there. That's so brutal for time, who's already down on workers, but now down 18. And Stats feeling very comfortable back at home. His army looking really nice. This Observer seeing absolutely everything. Time's going to go for a push out, but he is down in army supply. And I just don't even necessarily like his army composition here versus what Stats has. But there's no storm. There's a number of ghosts here, actually. And again, EMP, quite good against every single Protoss unit. But there's so many Colossi, and we just don't have the Viking count or the Liberator count. Oh, that was a nice EMP right there. Grabs that Observer, kills it. And now Stats says, oh, I just saw your army, and it looks really tiny. I think I'm going to go ahead and attack you. We do have some Widow Mines here, the tanks. We got some EMPs going down. But I think it's going to be just too much. Stats has so much here. Colossus not being touched. And time has to tap out. GG. Stats taking it, making it look easy. Absolutely cleans up that first push. And just macros up, no problem. No problem. So time looking real good against Dream, but Stats says no, I'm not Dream. I'm the next level. You gotta step up your game, kid. I hope Time can. I hope he can. Just waiting to get into game number 2. Yeah, so the guarantee that mules always land on the right side of the patch definitely went through. That definitely went through. I've noticed that changed for sure. You know, I will say, I was the first to call casting Stats versus Time. All these other casters hopped in here. They're just jumping in to the lobby now, you know? But it's really right here. This is your A stream for Stats versus Time. I think what happened with the mule change was they made it so that no matter what, you get the same amount of minerals. But if you land it on a far patch, I think it dies with minerals in its hand sometimes, maybe. I'm not too sure. It was something weird like that. And I wasn't sure if they ever changed it away from that. But in either case, we're on Ephemeron and spawning in the lower right-hand corner. For the Afrika Freaks, it is our Protoss player, Stats. And his opponent in the upper left-hand corner, playing for Team Newbie, our Terran player, Time. I hope we get to see something a little bit more effective here. It feels like so far every Terran versus Protoss except for TY versus Nice looked very Terran favored. But that's just because it's TY. What you gonna do? So far the other Terran versus Protoss have looked like Terran tries to do something, Protoss completely squashes it, and then just macros and wins. And I don't want to feel that way. I don't want that to be how this matchup goes. I want Time to give us something else, you know? I want him to give us something special. We got some Stats Boys cheers in the chats though. So who doesn't love some Stats Boys? So speaking of stats, he decided to go for the Cybercore before Nexus this game and did a little scouting for proxy racks. I don't know if the Cybercore is also just maybe a little bit afraid of 2 racks Reaper coming in. Wants to get these anti-Reaper units out earlier. I certainly don't blame him. That is not what we have out of Time though. Time went for Reaper fast expand, going into a factory and a reactor now. Very likely just gonna swap those off, get those Hellions out. Ooh, death in the chat. Ooh, baby. The Adept and the Reaper passing each other. Much like ships in the night. But like ships without radar or good communication skills. Reaper should be able to see anything it wants, and what it wants to see is a dead probe. This Reaper just being annoying. In the meantime, Adept completely gets in. That is highly unfortunate here for Time. Already grabs a kill, gets a second one, delaying the starport very, very far. A Hellion pops out. This Reaper, though, on 3 kills, so I mean, really, it's a pretty similar trade here. It's gonna be 3-3. Reaper gets out. Adept gonna get out. I'm not gonna go for the Hellions. Maybe changing up his plans. Instead, Adept got in. Instead, gonna go for a Viking, 2 Marines, and a Widowmine. maybe worried about an Oracle, which it's not going to be an Oracle. It's actually Phoenix again. Looks like we're going to get to see some more Phoenix Colossus out of Stats. Ooh, but 3 Adepts coming in. Avoiding that Widow Mine. Just trying to get more and more worker kills here. Mostly just killing Marines, though. Oh, the Widow Mine's not planted. The Viking has landed. And those Phoenix come in. Finish off that hurt Hellion. Oh, we got some cheering for Tim in the chat. Gotta love Tim. He's my favorite high-level Terran player. Tim. And it's gonna be Magfield Accelerator Cyclones is the plan here for Time. No? Changing his mind. I think Time may be a little bit flustered at this build out of Stats. Stats just able to get some cheeky damage done early. He has lost a good few units though, as well. Yeah, definitely in Stats' favor. But we've seen worse, you know what I mean? Third CC is almost finished. Stats just planting his 3rd Nexus now. Here we go. Robobay and the Forge coming up for Stats. So yeah, gonna go right back into that Phoenix Colossus. And this time he's not losing a bunch of his Phoenix early. I'm really not sure what Time's plan is here. He lands that on a... Oh, maybe he just built that with the starport. Just to get it quicker for the barracks. Alright, it's looking like Time's defense is going to be pretty solid here. So they're both just going to macro up. We have 1-1 on the way here for Time. Double NG Bay this time. Only the +1 out of Stats currently. So, assuming that goes on for a little bit longer, we should see Time have an upgrade lead, at least for a little bit. And in this game, honestly, it feels like he's in a much better position than in the last game. The army supply is equal, and that's something I was really missing for Time last game. You're always going to lose a few workers here to Phoenix. You're never going to stop that completely. The downfall of Phoenix really is that they're not quite as good in the actual fight once that happens. Ooh, a nice Widow Mine hit, splashes all of the Phoenix. Gets them quite low. Phoenix going for the recall, actually. Gets the boys out of there. Stats back at home, planting a bunch of gateways. Does have a 2nd forge, so he can start upgrading his armor shortly. Double drop out of Time. It's a dangerous move against Phoenix. We still have 4 Phoenix here. And they are moving to intercept this drop, actually. Just kind of waiting for it. This observer may have seen that pick up. Time unloading before he gets to the Phoenix, though. Nicely played. Ah, the stim. The stim and hope to catch the Phoenix. But at least putting pressure on here, Time knows the Phoenix aren't going to come around and try to harass back in his mineral line or anything like that. Does nab that nasty little observer. Denying a lot of vision here for Stats, who is attempting to take a 4th base. It's this kind of nice secluded 4th base, but we could see Time, and it does look like he is going to move down around this path. Potentially. And this is a good amount of his forces. He does still have quite a lot back home on the defense. Which what we've seen from a lot of Protoss players in this matchup is continually running Zealots into the natural into the third base, things like that. Ooh, this aggression spotted here by Stats, who moves into perfect position. We have 3 Vikings at a time coming out, 4 Vikings at a time coming out. Stats' army is a little bit split right now, but Time not able to take advantage of that. Just wants to go home, get a nice defensive position, and force Stats to come to him if he wants to fight. Time going to be needing a 4th base here relatively soon. I don't know if we have a 4th CC. Stats wants to attack. It looks like he wants to come in from 2 different angles here. That can be very powerful versus the setup we have here. But Time is split pretty nicely to move to either side. Alright, and here goes Stats. Zoom out all the way for this one. The Colossi are split as well, which means the Vikings won't be nearly as effective. They take out the Phoenix with ease, but in the meantime, the Colossus are just doing so much damage. It looks like Time will win the bottom side, but the top side definitely went to Stats. Time might have enough here. He kills the Warp Prism. Not before the Warp-In happens, but he's going to be able to take out this other Colossus. Pushes back Stats, who's now down very far in the army supply. He'll be able to get another Warp-In shortly. But losing that many units, he's not going to want to rebuild a ton of Colossus. I think he's only on 1 Robo as well. Yeah, now planting the 2nd Robo. So Stats on the superior economy here, but Time definitely taking the advantage in that fight. The unfortunate thing about trying to hit in 2 places is Time's able to absolutely crush one and then come back and also push back the other side. Really nice engagement there from Time. Time up on upgrades a little bit here. Although he hasn't started 3-3 just yet, so may not last forever. And now it's going to be disruptors. This is kind of the classic Protoss play, right? You see, all right, I made you make a bunch of Vikings. You killed my Colossus. Now let's go ahead and make some disruptors. In the meantime, these Zealots getting dropped in. There were a few running into the third base as well. 9 SCVs, 10 SCVs going down. Even getting that 11th one. Stats kind of moving around the side here. But with the observer, he sees this is a big old army coming across the map towards him. I think these disruptor hits are going to be absolutely key here. We don't have Storm. I think that's a big deal. Oh, Zealots catching reinforcements. Time not paying attention here. Just rallying everything across the map. A few of those Zealots break off to go into the third base once again. Alright, first disruptor shot dodged. Second, oh, that is not a dodge. EMPs go down on a lot of the army. That is so many Zealots though. Oh, and a beautiful force field. Vikings land, but landed Vikings trying to split against disruptors. It ain't pretty. And in the meantime, 24 SCVs have gone down. That disruptor shot doesn't quite hit. A couple of these disruptors are going down. In the meantime, 12 SCVs have gone down. Oh my god, this Liberator is at 6 kills, and I think there was a... Oh no, it was a second Liberator. There you go. To be honest, it actually ended up way better for Time than I thought it was going to, but he's down to 32 workers right now. It was just these 3 Zealots completely ravaged his mineral line while all that was going on. Time very focused on the offensive. He's very far down in workers, but the army supply is equalized. And 3 disruptors though, that makes such a massive difference in this army. Just having that splash damage out, it's not just gateway versus bio or anything like that. Time going for a big attack, but Stats going for a big attack as well. And is Time going to go for the base trade here? It looks like that might be the plan. Again, just 3 Zealots going into this base. And there's no defense here. Stats must know. Stats does have the recall ability available to him. Could recall potentially into his main. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Just a few of the units, though. Just the disruptors. That's really all you need, isn't it? And he's got a number of stalkers here. Massive connection, and that's going to cost time to tap out of game number 2.